Welcome back to Life Insurance Today. I'm your host, Edward Pritchett, and we're here to empower agents with information to help them grow their businesses. So, let's talk about something that's near and dear to my heart. As a fellow millennial, what's happening with millennials? And I'm gonna go ahead and throw in my Gen Xers in there too. Y'all are right there with us when it comes to this whole ideal of buying insurance, protecting the things that matter most as things are changing for you, as we're getting to that next level of our aging evolution, right? But I believe, we're looking pretty good while we're doing it compared to some of the previous generations, let's just be honest. But as we think about millennials and Gen Xers and what's happening with them right now, we're seeing the numbers tick up year after year after year of life insurance ownership among these two groups, right? All the groups are seeing it across the board, but we're really starting to see it pick up for these two. And as we're seeing that, we have to, as agents, ask ourselves, what are the things that are driving this? What's happening, right? Understanding that aspect of it. And then when we see that happening, am I taking advantage of it, right? If this is my generation, am I participating in this growth in insurance ownership in my own generation, or are I just kind of sitting here and letting other people take advantage of it, right? I would prefer to be served by someone who is a part of my generation. No offense to the baby boomer generation. Like, I have one financial advisor. He's been doing financial advising for the past 40 years, right? But maybe I need to take a look at someone who's also seeing things from the perspective that I see it for my particular generation and where I am in life. People are always looking for that when it comes to their agent for this, that, or the other, like someone who understands me and where I come from. And if you're in the same generational category as someone, what better way to be able to talk to them about what they're going through than by being able to commiserate, be able to share with them that you're experiencing some of the same things. So let's take a look at a couple of things that I just want to point out. These are the factors, these are things that are driving the growth in insurance ownership for millennials and Gen Xers. So the first one is pretty straightforward and simple. There are changes in life stages, right? Like, how many people have been to a wedding recently if you're in one of those two categories? Probably not, right? Unless it's a younger sibling or a cousin or something like that, younger friend. But what have you been receiving? A lot of notices about babies being born, or babies getting into kindergarten or middle school, or shoot, I got friends who have kids that are graduating high school already, right? So these changes are happening. Home ownership is starting to, even with where interest rates are right now, home ownership is starting to pick up at a different pace than it was before. And people are starting to advance in their career. They're starting to level up to those new stages and positions in their company, and they're starting to see themselves from a different light. Now, there's also an increased awareness and education about what life insurance is. Whereas when you're in your 20s and your early 30s, it's not the biggest thing, popping up on your radar. But as you cross into your 40s, late 40s, and definitely in your 50s, you start thinking about, insurance. Am I too late? Do I need to get into this party too, right? So the awareness of this is really starting to pick up for these two generations. Now, here's the other big one. Evolving risk perception, all right? We've lived through the Great Recession. We lived through COVID-19. We have private citizens who are allowed to just shoot rockets up into the air whatever they want to, right? We're living in riskier and riskier times, guys. Like, that's just the fact, and we're seeing it more. And so it's making us consider, what risk are we leaving unprotected? And then lastly, of course, the switch to a digital preference for how we buy. We're not looking to necessarily go into a local branch or agency to get our life insurance. We want to be able to interact in a platform that we're pretty native to. Like, we grew up pre-digital, but we understand and have done much of our work in the latter parts of our life so far in the digital environment, and that's where we want to also be able to handle our insurance plans, the game planning that we have, the aspects that we're going to do for that. So now that we've taken a look at what's gotten us here, the things that are driving this change, how can we take advantage of it? And I mean that in the best possible word. We want to take advantage of it in the sense of we want to be the people to help those within our own generation make smart and wise decisions about how they're going to take care of themselves as far as life insurance is concerned. And now we get that opportunity to be their agent for life. So here's some of the things that we, of course, have to keep in mind and consider when it comes to how to capitalize on this growth that is happening for millennials and Gen Xers in the life insurance space. So number one, we have to emphasize the digital engagement, right? So this is utilizing digital channels for how we sell our product, direct to consumer platforms. If that's something you haven't looked at, like how can I actually send a link to my client and allow them to input their information and be quoted and receive a policy in one fell swoop. Direct to consumer is important, but it still has to be tied to an agent. And that's one of the keys that some of the other early adopters to the direct-to-consumer world may have missed. And this leads into this ideal of personal interaction. How are you personally interacting with each of your clients? What are you using for a client relationship management program, right? That CRM isn't just sit there to or put out there so that you can just input the client's policy data into it. What about like what's going on in their life, their kids, their birthdays? Where are places that you can actually engage with them on the things that actually matter to them and be able to follow up in a timely way? We're not saying that you have to memorize every aspect of everything that's going on in your client's life. That's not possible. But we can show them that we care by recording that information and then triggering some automations to remind us that, hey, I might want to reach out to my client about XYZ because this is going on in their life. Now, we can't move forward with them if we don't find out what is their value proposition. This isn't just about like me highlighting all the great things that my product can do, because my product doesn't matter if I don't know what matters to them. So what are the questions that you're asking your client in order to pull out like what's valuable to you? What are you concerned about? What do you care about? What are you looking for? Where would you like to be when it comes to this type of protection against the risk that you're seeing? Like if I can engage them in that conversation, I can really find out what their value proposition is and then serve them with the product that best fits that particular need. We of course know that embracing technology is a part of how we can engage with this particular audience, but we have to look at it on multiple different aspects. It's not just the self-service aspect, it's not just getting the policy, keeping the policy, but it's also the educational piece. If you're gonna educate and inform, I mean, you guys are watching me here on YouTube. What are you doing to educate and inform your clientele about the plans that they have, what's going on with their policies, what's happening in the markets that might be beneficial to them, and then where can they grow their relationship with you, right? Because it's not just about the first policy, it's about the other things that you're able to do with them over the lifetime. It's about creating that client relationship. Now, if you embrace all of these things, you can capitalize on the growth that we're already seeing. Millennials and Gen Xers are already going out there and getting life insurance policies. Who are they getting them from? If you want them to get them from you, you have to, again, emphasize on the digital engagement, work on those personal interactions, figure out what is their value proposition. What is it that they're looking for, right? And then embrace technology to educate and inform your clients on a regular basis. These are the things that can help you grow with a market that's growing right now and doesn't show any signs of slowing down on their need for life insurance. Eventually, millennials and Gen Xers will be in the same place that the baby boomers are, where over 70% of them have some form of life insurance. We're sitting in the mid to high 40s right now, guys. So there's a lot of us that still need to have a conversation with someone just like yourself. And whether you're a millennial or a Gen Xer, this information is important to you too if you're in other generational groups, because this information can be used with these two groups, but then also you can start looking at what's going on with my particular generation and how can I serve them in the ways that best suits and best fits them. I know this information will be helpful to you if you put it to use and if you share it with others so that they can do it as well, because as we grow this industry, it just makes it better for all of us. So thank you for joining us today. Make sure you subscribe, follow, like, share this with someone who is maybe a millennial or a Gen X, or maybe even a baby boomer, or whatever the other generations are after the greatest generation, the millennials. I think there's some more generations after that. I'm kidding. But share this with others so that they can learn how they can take advantage of this information and grow their insurance practice today. Thank you for joining us here on Life Insurance Today. See you next time.